Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Diwan of the Royal Court mourns the death of His Highness Sayyid Turki bin Mahmoud Al Said. And Israeli police deploys reinforcements in and around Jerusalem in anticipation of Palestinian protests over Trump administration's recognition of the contested city as the Israeli capital. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. The Diwan of the Royal Court issued an obituary on the death of His Highness Sayyid Turki bin Mahmoud Al Said. With hearts believing in the judgment of God, the Diwan of the Royal Court mourns the death of His Highness Sayyid Turki bin Mahmoud Al Said, who passed away last night, the 18th of Rabi al-Awwal 1439 Hijrah, corresponding to the 7th of December 2017. Israeli police deployed reinforcements in and around Jerusalem's Old City today in anticipation of Palestinian protests over the Trump administration's recognition of the contested city as the Israeli capital. Palestinian political groups have called for massive demonstrations in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem after Friday prayers. Separately, the Gaza-based leader of the Hamas group has agitated for a third uprising against Israel. President Donald Trump's seismic policy shift on Jerusalem provoked outrage in the Arab and Muslim world. Street protests were expected today across the region. Hundreds of Muslims in Indonesia, Malaysia, and many other countries protested outside U.S. embassies. Hundreds of Palestinian refugees and Lebanese citizens marched through the streets of Beirut, protesting against the U.S. president's decision to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The protest in Lebanon's capital was one of many taking place across the Arab world today. Trump's declaration on Jerusalem departed from decades of U.S. policy and upended long-standing international assurances that the fate of the city would be determined in negotiations. Iranians took to the streets today to condemn U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. In Tehran, the leader of Friday prayers, Ayatollah Ahmed Khatami, said Trump's move has invalidated decades of peace talks between Israel and Palestinians and urged Palestinians to start another intifada or uprising against Israel. The prayer ceremony was followed by demonstrations of worshippers who voiced their anger over Trump's decision. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov today accused the U.S. administration of provoking North Korea into launching an intercontinental ballistic missile. Lavrov, speaking in Vienna at the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, summit, said it would now be more difficult to launch dialogue with the North following military drills held by the U.S. and South Korea. Tensions continue to mount in the region after Pyongyang test-fired a new type of intercontinental ballistic missile it said is capable of striking anywhere in the United States. The Russian Foreign Minister also commented on the U.S. decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, saying he had asked U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to explain the logic behind this move. Along the California coast between Ventura and Santa Barbara, the state's biggest wildfire approached beach communities as flames leapt from steep hillsides across U.S. Highway 101 yesterday. The flames forced an evacuation of dozens of homes at Faria Beach. The massive fire also threatened Ojai, a scenic mountain town of 7,000 people dubbed Shangri-La and known for its boutique hotels and New Age spiritual retreats. Luxury Travel, the British e-blog broadcast in a report that the Sultanate form and inspire direction in increased level for those who want to travel due to its beauty and calmness. The report added that His Majesty Sultan Qaboos transformed the Sultanate to a modern state, and it's one of the most safe, secure and tolerant countries in the world. The report also mentioned that Oman became a direction of various tourists and luxury travel lovers enjoying with fancy hotel services, express highways, in addition to clean and calm coasts. The website also spoke about Oman markets and described them as civilized and fancy that reserve the taste of past and deep-rooted heritage. The report added that the Sultanate's ports, which have sailboats ready for trade with the world, and Omanis enjoy hospitality traditions. As part of activities of the 7th Qatar Festival for the traditional ships in the state of Qatar, the Qatari ship Fatah Al Khair 3 arrived in Khasab port. The voyage came to revive the seafaring legacy of ancestors and to enhance relations and contacts among Gulf Cooperation Council countries. It also aims to highlight the deep-rooted social and trade ties among Gulf countries. The ship started from Doha, the capital of Qatar, passing through Al Shuwaiki port in Kuwait, and then returning to Hamad International Port to take part in Qatar's celebrations of National Day. An official welcoming ceremony was organized for the vessel by the Ministry of Heritage and Culture upon arrival to Khasab. The role of the Sultanate in combating human trafficking was highlighted during the orientation meeting organized by the Ministry of Manpower and the Foreign Ministry in the Governorate of the FAR. It aimed to raise awareness among all segments of the society on human trafficking. It shed light on some concepts related to the subject and efforts being exerted by the Sultanate in combating it. Also, experiences of other countries on human trafficking were also discussed. Still to come in our news bulletin.
هذه عمان أرض المزون اللي تقر بها العيون فيها
Al-Shahba Band for Omani Arts in the Wilaya of Nizwa organized a ceremony to mark the 5th anniversary of the Sultanate's registration of the Al-Azdi art at the UNESCO's list of intangible heritage of humanity. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Oman oil price February delivery increased by 82 cents compared to the price of yesterday to reach $60.30 per barrel, according to Dubai Mercantile Exchange. The average price of Oman oil December delivery reached $55.59 per barrel. Marking the 5th anniversary of the Sultanate's registration of Al-Azdi art at the UNESCO's list of intangible heritage of humanity, Al-Shahba Band for Omani Arts in the Wilaya of Nizwa organized a ceremony on this occasion. The celebration was held at Nizwa Fort. The band performed Al-Azdi and Razha arts inside the fort in front of its visitors. Al-Azdi is an Omani traditional art which is performed during religious and national celebrations. With the participation of a number of poets and artists, a cultural and artistic evening was held in the Wilaya of Shalim and Al-Halaniyat Islands. The event was organized by the Directorate General of Heritage and Culture in the Governorate of the FAR. It was attended by many citizens from the Wilaya. It included traditional poetry, recitation, and traditional arts shows. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of clouds over the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea. Winds will be northerly to northeasterly light to moderate. seas will be slight, with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultan of Oman television, and before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Diwan of the Royal Court mourns the death of His Highness Sayyid Turki bin Mahmoud Al Said. And Israeli police deploys reinforcements in and around Jerusalem in anticipation of Palestinian protests over Trump administration's recognition of the contested city as the Israeli capital. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsrooms and the studios, it's good night.